What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Line Movers. This is the third time we've done this. And essentially, the goal of this is to find some lines that I expect to move overnight. And we are using the unabated odd screen, which is a great new feature, new tool that Unabated has. And I really like this tool because not only do I get, I think they have 9 books, well, maybe even more than that, just side by side to compare lines, but you can start to see and pick up on some moves and trends. It's something that I think not only do you have to look at these numbers and where the lines are moving, but you also have to compare them to, at least some other uh, other sort of source, right? Whether it be power rankings, your power numbers, model simulations, and just you need a grasp of what the market's thinking and things of that nature. So we will start with NBA. Now, guys, in the chat on Twitch, be sure to let me know what games you want me to discuss. I'll kind of gloss through several games, but if there's anything in particular that you want to discuss, just let me know. So give me 1 second and we will kind of get started here. I'm just going to tweet this out here and 1 sec. I'm curious, first and foremost, guys in the chat, how your night went of betting. I know college basketball was kind of all over the place. I didn't really follow NBA too closely tonight, but I'm just curious to see how they went. And give me 1 second. Tweet this out. All right. So let's see here. Canadian God. Okay. That's good to know. Profit is profit. Absolutely. And guys, let me know how the sound quality is. I made a little change to my mic and just want to make sure that the sound quality is good. So we have Mavericks still waiting. Yeah, that's the late game. I know some people were talking about the Lakers, but I could not I could not bet on the Lakers tonight. There was no way. It was Mavericks or pass. And NBA, I've been very selective. So let's just start with NBA. So again, this is unabated. As you can see, we have PointsBet, FanDuel, Win, Bet Online. I'm actually going to move this over. Pinnacle, which is a sharper book. Pinnacle is one that's important because they are definitely market makers. And when we talk about market makers, they're books that are originating the line. And whether other books have a line out or not, they will quickly move towards the Pinnacle number more times than not. Circa isn't on the unabated dashboard at this point in time. I believe it is going to be added, but Circa is another very sharp book. So the goal here is to kind of use the sharper books and potentially say, like, well, is there an opportunity to get some line value at another book? Do we think this line is kind of trending one way or another? And what you'll start to pick up on is you'll look at these lines the night before, and then you'll wake up in the morning and you'll see them move. So that's kind of the goal of this, is to start thinking that way. So, actually, Captain Jack just popped in. Click settings in the top right, and you can add Circa. And Chris is up. Oh my gosh! Wait, top right settings. Let's see here. Click settings in the top right. Okay. Oh man, this is dope. Okay. Boom. Circa. I'm trying to see. Okay. Sports 511. 411. Is that Chris? Yeah. Okay. That's right. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to move. See here. Yeah. No surprise that they don't have a lot out right now for NBA. Let's see college basketball. Okay. Cool. That's awesome. So, yeah, let's start with NBA real quick. I haven't been as in tune with the NBA the last week, and I actually should say since the All-Star break, and that's kind of a seasonal thing for me with March Madness. Naturally, my mind just kind of shifts to March Madness. That's where I'm going to be placing most of my bets. But at the same time, if we can find value in the NBA, we should certainly do so. So let's just take a look here. Some of the early games. And Cab Jack, feel free to hop on in at any time if you see something interesting on your end using the odd screen on a game that we can highlight. Let's see here. So, I like to look at totals more than anything, I think. And I think the reason why is because I do get a little hesitant locking in an NBA side before we know about injuries or who's playing, who's not. But the number could still change from a total perspective with an injury, too, of course. But I feel a little more comfortable playing a total overnight versus a side. I'm kind of curious about this Nuggets Thunder line. Nuggets should be pretty healthy. I think the only thing is Bones, but he's really not worth too many points to the line. 225, but we only have that at 2 books. And we're also showing a 14 at win and a 13 at some of these other books. BetMGM at 13.5. I don't know how higher that's going to go up. 14 seems like a pretty steep number. I know the Nuggets have been playing really well, but that's a high number. And I'm a Nuggets fan, but guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but SGA is back in. Is that correct? Lots of heavy chalk on tomorrow's game. Oh yeah, Faves have been doing well. So Faves, I know 2 days ago were 7-0. I haven't checked tonight, but sounds like they're still kind of continuing the momentum. So I think this is actually a prime example. Plus 14 on the Thunder seems pretty valuable. And it scares me because, yes, Denver's a tough place to play. I know this. I live in Denver. I'm a Nuggets fan, but 14 points is a lot. It really is. I'm curious if this number settles closer to 13 when it's all said and done. I really am. And guys, if you have any questions on NBA games, let me know. I'm not going to spend too much time on NBA. I'm going to move over to college basketball, so let me know. Portland, the Suns, another big spread. All right. I mean, the Suns are rolling. Blazers trending in the opposite direction. Showing a 13.5, 12 at some of the other books. A lot. Yeah, Oakland, I know. Cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to college basketball. But yeah, I think Captain Jack makes a really good point. Take a look at the dogs. There's definitely going to be a little value on them moving forward because of the chalk just winning money for people. I mean, favorites continue to roll. So let's take a look here. So we have an early game. I know people love the early games. That gets us ready for conference tournaments and, of course, March Madness. Fordham in Massachusetts. Interesting. 142. So a lot of these numbers haven't been up for too long. And of course, we have BetMGM, which we've mentioned on prior shows doing this, where BetMGM won't move sometimes until 6 a.m. Eastern time, maybe sometimes a little earlier. I know they don't necessarily use, I think they call them auto line movers. So a lot of it is manual in the morning. So you can sometimes catch a BetMGM number that is pretty off from the rest of the market. So that's something to consider. The caveat to that, though, is if you do that time and time again, there is a chance you could potentially get limited. I'll leave that there. So St. John's and Xavier is an interesting game. St. John's is a team at home who has been playing pretty well. They're one of those teams that I always look potentially to target when they're at home versus on the road. I'm going to pull up one other source here. -2. Interesting here. BetMGM has a 155 for the total. 153. Let's see what Circa has. Circa doesn't have that out yet. Actually, Circa might not have a lot of their lines out because I know they're sometimes a little later. But Chris has 154.5. Okay. Interesting. I'll make sure to see any comments. ESPN says the game is at 7 tomorrow. Not so, maybe 30 minutes off. Just looking at some of these others, Texas A&M, Alabama. So here's another interesting one. We have a 152 and a 154. Pinnacle has a 154. Let's see here. So Pinnacle's been up for a few hours. BetMGM hasn't really moved at all. Win just opened up. See what these others have. This is an interesting one. I'm just looking at some numbers here. Give me 1 second. Now, I know 2 points doesn't seem super significant, and there we go. That just moved. So do you see, guys, real time there? That number just moved from a 152 to a 153. So I think that's probably the direction it's trending. I wanted to look at something, but sometimes this stuff happens that quickly. It's like stock trading at times. So that's in another really cool feature of Unabated, how the color kind of flashes, pops up on screen so you can see that move happen. So if you could find a 152 anywhere else in the market, that might be a good move to play the over on, depending on if that is out there. But yeah, it seems like 154 may be closer to where the number is going to end up. Now, I will say it doesn't always end up that way, guys, but you do want to cross-reference with some other numbers. Take a look at, whether you're using any sort of model, whatever else may be going on in the market too as well. But I just want to see one thing real quick. Texas A&M, Alabama. I want to see what our model has that at. Our model has it under, which is interesting. Alabama is such a hard team to bet on, though, because the way they shoot the three ball, they've been hot and cold, inconsistent all season long. So sometimes that could be a team that's hard to kind of figure out what they're going to do. Let's see here. Someone said it hates Bama. I think that's the bias that you brought over from your college football bias against Alabama. It's somehow subconsciously has picked up on that, Nick. So let's see here. Middle Tennessee State. Let's pull that one up. So it's also nice just to search a game and to have just one on screen so we can kind of single in on it. So Middle Tennessee State -2, total 141.5. FanDuel has a 143.5. So Captain Jack says that looks juicy. I'm curious, is he speaking to the over or the under? I have a feeling, oh, wow, BetMGM. Of course, our friends over at BetMGM, 144. And Chris has that at a 141. So I think that's a really good example. Chris, I would say, is up there. Yeah. BetMGM is the late night juicy burger. So if you get too many of those, they will cut you off. That's funny. Let's see here. I'm looking at what we have here. I bet on Middle Tennessee State a few times this year. Yeah, we have this going under. We have this at 139.5. So that would probably be a good one right there. Yeah, interesting. And I will go out on a limb and say that this 144 will go down sometime around the hours, probably of 4 or 5 a.m. Eastern time to whenever. Here on the Mountain Time Zone, I'm usually asleep when BetMGM moves their number, but I'm not asleep right now. Okay, let's go through a few others here. Georgetown, Seton Hall. I want nothing to do with Georgetown. I'll put it that way. And it kind of looks like not a lot of other people want to touch that one either. Pretty consistent across the board. William Hill has Middle Tennessee over under 142.5. Okay, interesting. Let's see here. Indiana Rutgers is an interesting one. It's a big game for Indiana, but it's starting to become a pretty big game for Rutgers too. I think Indiana needs a win more, but Rutgers is definitely probably going to be in the bubble conversation if they lose that game. But there's still plenty of Big Ten basketball left. Let's see what BetMGM doesn't even have a number. That's interesting. I think that's going to settle around 5. I don't see it going to 6. If it touches 6, it's going to go back the other way. I think 5. That's a tight line. That's going to end up where it probably should, around 5. Yeah, I think Middle Tennessee State is a good value. I'm writing that. I'm going to lock that one in. And I mean, even on FanDuel, you can get 143.5 if you don't have access to BetMGM, and I still think that's a pretty good value. St. Louis, Rhode Island. St. Louis, man, only 2.5. Can someone check? Did those two teams play already this year? I want to say that the A10 is scheduling a little different than some of the other conferences. I don't think they played each other. Yeah, they haven't played each other. Okay. Yeah, they haven't. I'm so used to some of the other conferences. Yeah, I do like that under. I do like that under. Our model likes it. I think it makes sense. And there's a good number available. Let me know, guys, if you have any games you want me to specifically discuss. Connecticut Creighton, that's an interesting one. So FanDuel has an over at 134.5, total at 134.5, and then Bet Online has a 136. BetMGM 135.5. Let me see something here. That's an interesting one. BetMGM. Let's see. Creighton. Interesting. Our number is closer to where FanDuel's at, and it's around 134. Let's see something here. Wow. So this moved from 133.5 up to 136. Nothing from Chris. Points bet. Sorry, points bet. I forgot about you over there. That's at 136. Interesting. Let's see when they moved. Kind of aligns with Bet Online. Interesting. FanDuel hasn't moved. I'm curious if Jack is still in here when he sees something like that from FanDuel, which, look, I mean, FanDuel is a recreational book. I think that's fair to say. But I do find it interesting, though, when they haven't moved the number, when it looks like a few other books are trending upwards. Just curious his thought process on something like that. Someone asked about, let's see here, Notre Dame. And then I guess Oregon State too. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, again, these are college basketball lines, not getting a bunch of money on them yet. Notre Dame -1.5, -2. Sometimes I can tell that the numbers are potentially going up when the BetMGM is just at a 138, but I guess nothing's really moved too much yet. I have no strong opinion on this game. I kind of tend to stay away from this one, if I'm honest. Western Kentucky. Yeah, I mean, At this point in the season, two bad teams. Well, I shouldn't say two bad teams. one bad team, but I don't know. I don't want to play around with that game that much. It's more maybe personal preference. So apologies, don't have a lot to say there. Yeah, Nick said it. Florida State, a lot of injuries this year. I don't know about Notre Dame. I feel like their splits have been pretty bad on the road also. So Western Kentucky, let's see here. Currently -2, total 154. 154 and a half at some shops. You know what's funny is I think Western Kentucky and Marshall I maybe have bet once or twice, but it seems like it was pretty early in the season. So from that perspective, I can't add a lot of context to it, but I want to look at one thing with Marshall. Yeah, they've been pretty up and down, pretty down. So this is interesting. They play Western Kentucky tomorrow. They also play them again on Saturday. So this is a back-to-back matchup. Sometimes with these back-to-backs, I like to see what happens in the first game and then try to see if I can find a overreaction in the market and take advantage of that in the second game, primarily with totals. So that may be the move there. That's honestly how I look at it. Let's see Auburn. Oh man, Auburn. Auburn's on the road. Sound the alarm. Man, that is a interesting spread. And I believe Mississippi State has been pretty solid at home. I know they were a few weeks ago. I think that trend has continued. Let's see here. So Auburn is coming off that loss to Tennessee. Very curious what our model has here. And I'm just looking at our spreadsheet because we haven't put it on our dashboard yet. So bear with me as I find it. Okay, so 64-71. Yeah, has Auburn winning. I'm not too surprised at that. Man, Auburn kind of seems like a is that too good to be true? Is Auburn too good to be true? -3. I was thinking 2.5, 3 in my head where I'd played at. I don't know. What do you guys think? Mississippi State is an interesting team. I know they can hang. Just looking at some of their previous games. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty tough test for them. Toughest test at home they've seen in a while. Last really tough game was probably Alabama. They lost by 5. Yeah, I lean Auburn too. I do. Let me see one other thing. I'm curious Nick's thoughts. If he's still in here. Let me do Davison real quick. They've been a wagon. Oh. George Mason. -7, -7.5. Juiced up at Pinnacle at 7.5. So that's interesting. 7. It did touch 7.5 at DraftKings and pop back down. Oh wow, they opened at 6.5. Seems like 7 is probably where it settles at, to be honest. Just basing off what I'm thinking about Davidson and George Mason. I wouldn't play that over 7. The total 137.5, 136.5. I feel good about Auburn, man, for some reason, but I shouldn't because they're not at home. So I need to think more about that. Why is there no Radford line on unabated? Is it because they played today? Why am I typing in unabated? Uh, I was searching unabated in the unabated search bar. It's been a long day, boys. Yeah, I don't see the Radford game. Let's see here. So why was Arizona only 4-point faves tonight? USC doesn't play good. Wildcats mad. I mean, I think it was one of those spots where it's conference game at home. I mean, you can put a 4 spot there, and you're gonna get pretty interesting action one way or another because public's probably gonna be on the Wildcats, and maybe some of the sharper guys are gonna go with the home team. They don't have any of the. Hold on, are you sure about that? I saw a few. I think if it's anything that if they were games played today, maybe they're not up yet. That would be my guess. Oh, let's see here. I'm not sure what happened. Let's see here. I just want to see what time that Radford game's at. Radford. Where are you, Radford? I'm on Bart Torvik, just looking at. North Carolina, yeah, is that that's the first round, right? It might have something to do with conference tournament potentially. Is that why, Nick? Is Big South tomorrow? Indiana is free. I lean Indiana -5. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I want to bet that. I think it might be because the tournament games, maybe. I'm curious if you guys see them on other books though up. It might just be an issue with since it's not a scheduled game. Oh yeah, and Jack was mentioning that to us. I think it's just naturally because how the information gets processed. It's not so much a game where you can schedule out right because we know who's going to play each other. So I think that's the case, and that's probably why Jack's up at this hour because I know he's on the East Coast. So, but hey, when they say we don't sleep till May, I mean that's a real thing. Let's see what else we have here. Some questions. I just want to make sure I didn't. Oh yeah, I see the response now, Jack. I missed that. St. John's. We touched on that for a second. Let's see here. Ooh, Circa just put their number up as of 30 seconds ago. So that's cool. Circa's at -2. Circa is pretty sharp. Okay. I don't really have a lot of thoughts there. I mean, I would probably lean St. John's, but let's see here. Did they just move from that's funny how that happens, right? Circa drops their number. Just a few minutes ago, and then immediately you see a move to -2. Now, a lot of times that could be one of two things. That could be FanDuel moving the number manually themselves on air, as some call it, or they could have gotten some action at that -1.5 and then moved it to. Could have been one of two things. So, yeah. And I know a lot of you maybe haven't looked at numbers at this time of day, but this is kind of what happens. It's a race to grab numbers and then to move numbers, and everyone else is trying to figure out where the numbers are going to move to. I want to look at a few other games here. Wyoming UNLV is a very interesting game. UNLV has been playing very hot as of late. They're just a dangerous team because they can shoot the three ball well. Wyoming's coming off a loss at home to San Diego State, a desperate San Diego State team. Curious about this total, though. To me, if you're leaning UNLV, you kind of have to lean with the over, I think. But then again, Wyoming can put up a fair share of points. UNLV is not a bad team. I was kind of joking around about UNLV, and I said they're going to win the Mountain West, and it was a joke, but at the same time, I'm like, well, who knows? Because they're hungry right now and they're playing good ball. Our model has this going under. Ooh, 2.5 at Pinnacle. Interesting. That's interesting. It's juice though. Plus 107. So another thing with unabated, guys, I'm not going to do this portion on screen just because we're going to wrap up here, but you can compare and you can see -2.5 at plus 107. Is that a better value than a -2 at plus or minus 105, right? So you can compare those two and it will let you know. But when you can have a -1 that's still available in the market, that's a no-brainer. I think. I'm pretty sure. You would naturally take the -1 over -2.5. But hey, I can double check that. I'm sure Jack has used his tool so many times that he can he can just rattle off which one is the better value without having to actually put them in the calculator. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game, though. Oh, yeah, you can do it right on screen. So do I just go do I go here? And then I click. Let's see here. Let's just do the compare lines. This is the better line. Okay. Yeah. That would be my guess. So that one's probably pretty obvious. But if we were to do -2, let's say you don't have access to Bet Online or Win, right? So if we're comparing a -2 at -105 to a -2.5 at +107, this may be kind of close. This is the better line. Equals. Okay, so about 3 cents. Interesting. Yeah, so really cool. Jack, I totally forgot you could do that on screen. Maybe I should listen more. Yeah, it is a really cool tool because if you're like me, well, first of all, there's people who don't even look at that, right? They're like -105, -110. They're so fixated on -2, -2.5, the point spread, right? And then the second part of that is trying to just guess in your head which is the better value, or what do I prefer, right? But why even risk that, right? Let's use the calculator on screen. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. Nick, anything else that you see? I know you're going through the model, probably read as we speak. Anything that is kind of catching your eye? My Connecticut number. So, guys, do you remember this was at 134.5 just about 10 minutes ago? It actually just moved a minute ago. So that's moving up. Again, this is happening in real time. Real time. 5.5, 6. I think they just, FanDuel's starting to move some of their numbers. Oh yeah, nice. Yep. Yeah, guys, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have Delberto and Nick, of course, on to run through the college basketball slate. I'm sure the UNLV Wyoming game will somehow get touched on one way or another, whether it's in one of the categories or not. I'm curious which one that could go into, Nick. Is that a revenge spot? I don't think so. And I don't know if we can call the Mountain West a mid-major. That may upset some people. They're not a mid-major. Not a Power 5, though. Yeah, they have not played this year yet. Delberto's all over UNLV. Guys, I kind of like UNLV. Jordan McCabe, he follows Capwise on TikTok. We're boys. We have used mid-major, but would we technically classify the Mountain West as a mid-major? Like, is it you're either a Power 5 or a mid-major? Is there no in between? Because if that's the case, they're mid-major. Okay, that's fair. New Mexico State. They lost to Chicago State outright. Did they bounce back at home? Market kind of says they do. Major. Yeah, I agree. There's different classifications. I want to see if there's anything else. Nicholls State, I know a lot of people have been high on them all year. -2 on the road. Circa's just dropping all their numbers right now. So this is a good indicator, again, guys, of some of the sharper numbers you're going to see. And what starts to happen is it's a snowball effect, right? Circa drops their numbers, then you start to see PointsBet and the FanDuel, DraftKings of the world. They start to watch what happens, whether it's the opener or where the Circa number moves. And then it kind of just, it's a copycat effect, right? And then BetMGM, they'll wake up in the morning and then they'll move their number. It seems like that's been pretty much the the process. And Pinnacle, again, Pinnacle's pretty sharp. Pinnacle's probably a little sharper for NFL, to my knowledge, but I think they're not too far behind in some of the other sports. SWAC and Horizon League, man. How do you handicap this Minnesota team? I don't know. And Minnesota, Maryland is going to be a pretty interesting one. -6. God, I kind of like Maryland. Let's see what the model says on that one. My initial lean would be Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, the model basically has it as a pick 'em. I guess Maryland winning by a point. Maybe a little bit of overreaction to Maryland beating Ohio State and then Minnesota losing to Indiana, potentially. Fucking Fort Wayne, man. Hey, they got a good team. It's just so funny to me, man. I hope they make the tournament, and I hope you can bet on them in the first round. But they gotta get past Cleveland State and Detroit Mercy, man. Antoine Davis, if he can play like that, like guys, he looked like Allen Iverson out there. I'm not kidding. He shot, I think, 60% and was on fire from 3. Okay, so we got a comment here. 2 books that I've noticed over time that are usually sharper moves are Sugar House and Bet Online. So that's one that I may need to have more of a focus on, Sugar House. And it's one that, personally, I haven't looked much into. I don't have access to it as a bettor, but I don't have access to Pinnacle. Well, I technically have access to Pinnacle. I don't use Pinnacle, but I use Pinnacle on this odd screen. Of course, I reference it. But that's a good point, and I appreciate you sharing that. Middle Tennessee. Oh yeah, let's take a look at what happened there. Did BetMGM really move that number? Damn. That's wild. Well, maybe someone's up right now watching us. It wouldn't be the first time. It wouldn't be the first time. Interesting. Caesars moved that down too. I mean, look, there's a lot of bettors in the world. So I always don't want to just assume that of our 60 people watching that we had enough pull to move the line. But hey, if Cap Jack bet it, it's certainly possible. Or yeah, maybe Sammy moved it. Jack circle. If I found out Jack worked at BetMGM this whole time, I would probably lose all hope in sports betting. That'd be funny. Hey, Jack, that's all Nick. I have nothing to do with that. All right. All I do is I read the comments that come through here. That's my job right now. Purdue, Fort Wayne, yeah. Or just say Mastodon, right? It kind of looks like it's a bad word, but it's not. That could be the move right there. I'm a Mastodon, or I like the Mastodon. There you go. So we're about to wrap up here. I'm tired. I still have some things to do. This is my 3rd stream of the day. I was on early with Nick, and then I did a TikTok stream, and now I'm on here. But March Madness is the best time of the year, and this is fun. So yeah, Mastodon. Sammy, I appreciate it. You're just too kind. Arkansas. 5.5, 5.5. A lot of 5.5s. There's a 6. Circa has a 6. I think if you can find a 5.5, you should probably bet it. Arkansas at home. 6 seems like the number. This would probably be a bet that like you do want to bet Arkansas, you're dead set on it versus like you're trying to find CLV because I think it ends at 6. But that way you get a win if it's a 6-point game. I'm going to Vegas this weekend. I'll be in Vegas. Yeah, Nick is. I don't think Nick's coming to Bet Bash, but I'll be there. I don't think Nick wants to get punked again by Spanky's magic tricks. I think that haunted him, and he has PTSD. And I honestly don't even think Spanky remembers much of that night, which is the funniest part about it. But what a guy Spanky is. All right, guys. That was fun. And I hope that whether you bet anything or not tonight, you kind of see how these numbers move so quickly. And it's crazy. It really is. Again, maybe Nick can drop the link again in the chat, but correct me if I'm wrong, Jack. This is now basically available to the public because I think I accessed it without logging in. I'm logged in now. And I believe the duration of March Madness. And Nick is spamming the chat, but that's okay because I'm letting him. They also have NHL too. Now, I am not an expert at NHL. I'm not even a casual at NHL, but NHL's up too. And man, this activity for NFL and college football, we're going to be all over. College football. I mean, if you guys have ever watched a college football line move, like as soon as Circa moves their numbers or drops their numbers and the way they move, it's crazy. Like I'm talking 30 seconds. Numbers move from -5 to -8. It's wild. Just need to sign up our paywall. Okay, cool. Yeah, and we'll be doing more stuff with Captain Jack and the team over at Unabated. I love what they're doing. A lot of this is it's in depth, but you can make it pretty practical when you break it down. And I think that's the beauty of it, especially with the odds, right? Like, yeah, sure, there's a learning curve, and I'm still learning myself, but you start to pick up on it. It becomes kind of like an art form, and you start to grasp what's happening in front of you, and it's fun. I don't bet NHL much either. I tell people, and hopefully that they get the puck in net when I have the overs. I don't think I played an under yet all year. Just been playing a lot of overs. So awesome, guys. If you're not already, be sure to follow us here on the stream. We just added several new emotes and sub badges. As you can see, we have several in the chat here. Nick needs to change his. I don't know why he has this little Yoshi guy. That's unacceptable. We need to get that changed right now, Nick. Yeah, so there we go. We got the lock, we got the fade, and we got the tail. And then I think the orange is 16 months. Blue 1 month because nobody on sports betting Twitch has a GlitchCon ban. I don't know. I don't even know what GlitchCon means, man. I think I've heard it before, but see, if I say that in the wrong settings, people would laugh me out of a room, but I feel comfortable explaining myself there. All right, guys. Any last words, Nick? We could drop the Discord link too, our Discord. Man, I think we're up to, I lost count. We got to be at like 1,400, 1,500 in there. We've kept it a good number for a reason, but I think we're going to start to let more people join there and make that more active. I mean, anyone can join, but we're going to promote it a little more. So we just want to make sure we have everything ready to scale up, and takes one bad person to ruin it. So we got to make sure that we're on top of those individuals. So yeah, guys, I appreciate you hopping on, joining me here. Hopefully you guys found some value in the lines and just value as a whole, watching me find, going through these numbers. And again, you can download, or I shouldn't say download, you can sign up for Unabated and you can have access to these yourself. So again, the link's up there. Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll be on again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time with Nick and Delberto to run through the college basketball slate. So we will see you guys tomorrow.